Think we're live. Yes, we're live. We're live.
Yes, we're live.
I always do this very funny intro. You are joining us on Conversations with Ladies Who Launch, and today I have the absolute joy and honor to interview my beautiful friend, mentor, she's in everything, Miriam Castilla, money and abundance coach. And thank you so much for joining me today, Miriam.
Hello, Anthea. I feel like this is going to be a bit of fun.
It's going to be so much fun. I always have fun on these things. Even though we had a few tech dramas, I was just telling Miriam before I logged on with my 5 minutes to spare and all of my bookmarks were gone. And I was like, oh, well, I haven't experienced that before. Anyway, we're here, we made it. So thank you again for joining us today, Miriam. I would love for you to start with introducing yourself.
I'm like, shit.
No.
Let me quickly just Google how you introduce yourself these days.
No, introducing yourself the way you would like your raving fans to talk about you.
Okay. Like literally? Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you have to go work with Miriam. It always has to start with OMG, right?
Yeah. It doesn't even matter what they say after that.
It's just like, oh my God, you've got to work with Miriam. Okay, that's it, full stop. No, I'm kidding. Oh my God, you've got to work with Miriam because she helped me completely transform the way I think and feel about money. I'm not all freaked out and stressed out about it anymore. I actually know what to do with it, and I'm starting to hit my financial goals. That's how I would like everyone to talk about me. Everyone who's worked with me, that is.
Yeah. And I'm sure they do. Like that probably came from a real place, right?
I was just reading a testimonial, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So basically in Conversations with Ladies Who Launch, we like to get the behind the scenes on women in business, the good, the scary, the real, really. So can you tell us a little bit about like, why did you start your business?
Okay, why did I start this business in particular? So when I started this business, actually, I was still running my finance business, which was kind of born out of my broke single mum period, I call it. So, before that, I'd been an engineer. Then I had kids, stayed home with them while they were little. Then my marriage busted up. And from there, long story short, I ended up building a finance business. And so that kind of journey was about me going, oh shit, I'm broken, really stressed about money. What do I do about it? And I'd always been into like law of attraction and mindset, but it was a bit in the closet because, I was an engineer, I was a sensible person. So when I was really broke, I was like, can I swear? F that. I'm throwing everything at this because I've got 2 little kids and I've got to figure it out. And so I really got into it, especially law of attraction at the time. And I built my finance business and I had to very quickly learn. I'd always been reasonably good with money, but I had to learn how to really make my money work for me because I had stuff all. And then, in the finance business, I came to realize that I had all these clients and their incomes and their financial position were like a huge range that they're sat on, from people on just casual wages, minimum hours, to people making, several $100,000 on executive salaries. And that didn't seem to make much difference as to how stressed they felt about money. And it also, I also noticed that, often the people who made the bigger incomes had more money stress. And no matter who they were or where they came from, it didn't guarantee that they felt comfortable, confident, or actually knew how to manage their money because we're not taught that in school. Mm-hmm. And so, we all just kind of come out and get put out into the world as adults and expected to figure it out or know what to do. And we just don't. And so it's this whole like silent, unspoken thing out there. And so then, I started working with some of my finance clients, just helping them kind of sort out their practical side of things because some of them will be saving for a house or they've gone through a divorce and whatever. And I started putting things together for them. And then I realized they weren't doing that either. They weren't doing their homework because they were still missing the mindset side of things. And so then I studied hypnosis, NLP. I went and trained with Mike Dooley, and I was like, right, this is what I want to do, because this is like a huge thing in our society. People are stressed about money. No one's talking about it. And, you know, women go out there starting their business because they want to show up and express themselves and, you know, make these amazing differences in their clients' lives. And then they get slammed with all this money stuff that they never saw coming, because nobody thinks about it when they get started. And it just puts them like they're just frozen, and it weighs them down and it crushes them. And I got really fired up about that. And I was like, okay, now I know what I want to do when I grow up. And so I kind of started this business while I was still running the finance business. And it was in, I think, mid 2007. No, 17, make that. When you get older, you kind of, the decades are all the same. 2017, that I went full-time in this business and handed the finance business over to my husband. So
yeah, cool. And I love that it came from a really tangible and practical like observation of how people were stressed with money, like no matter how much they had. Like,
yeah, that was a real eye-opener, because, you know, when I was broke, my thing was, I just want to make 10 grand a month and I'll be so rich and it'll solve all my problems. And then, you know, I got to that stage and it hadn't solved all my problems. I was actually probably more stressed about money in lots of ways because I hadn't sorted some stuff out yet. And then, you know, I was meeting these clients and, you know, it's all just numbers, and your job in finance is just to figure out if the person can do what it is they want to do. And so you look at all different types of numbers, but sometimes it would be like, shit, that's a good salary, you know. And then you'd look at their statement of position, or you'd speak to them and just go, oh, that's, you know, more money does not change the pattern.
Does not equal.
Yeah, I got out of
and
all
I
of that.
suppose we have an element of that we hear in general society, like money doesn't equal money, but I don't think we get specific enough with what that actually looks like. And I often find that when I'm working with my clients too, just with regards to people's mindset, and they'll go, oh, like when they're talking about their problem, it's like nobody has ever experienced it before. But when you're in your position and my position, you're like, we're all the same.
If only I had $1 for every time somebody's issue was self-doubt, low, you know, self-worth.
Yeah, but I think it's the acknowledgement of that. Like I often share that with my clients, because I think it's a real eye opener and a beautiful awareness to have, is that like your problem ain't special, and we actually
and you're not alone.
No, you're not alone. Yeah. So cool. Amazing. So the other thing I want to do through this conversation is kind of show a little bit about how Miriam started and what your business looks like now. So can you go back in your memory bank to what launching originally looked like for you? And did you even call it launching?
I was thinking about this before. I'm like, what did I do in the beginning? I don't even remember. I know that I worked a lot of hours and I did all sorts of things. I can't really remember my first launch of any sort of like just the launch, but I can remember the first time I launched like consciously, where I sat down and I planned it.
Yeah.
And that was after sitting down with Tash, actually. I went and did a one-on-one retreat with her. And she's like, let's sort you out. And, you know, in like an hour and a bit, we had my whole launch spreadsheet put together. And that was revolutionary for me, because I was like, oh, now I know what I'm meant to do each day and what I have to prepare in advance. So just that was huge. And I remember, you know, I felt so grown up and so organized, and it actually really helped me get much better results. The thing I also noticed is that it created a whole lot of stress because I wasn't very organized.
Fix one problem, oh, there's another.
Oops, where'd that one come from? Yeah.
But I love that, because I think so often, like for me, I'm not trying to convince anyone to launch, but I like I like going the behind the scenes on what launching looked like originally, because often people make it this huge thing in their head. And I'm like, actually, it kind of just pulls together everything you're doing anyway, gives you set daily tasks and makes your life easier. And that's what it did for me. So like, let's just have a look through that lens for a little bit. And often people are like, oh, right. It doesn't need to be this huge $500,000 launch that they see on the Facebook ads, etc.
No, and it's not about just getting a pot of spaghetti and wildly flinging it in every direction.
No.
It's like paint by numbers, really. That's what a good launch is. It's just paint by numbers. And ideally, you've got your paints, your brushes, your easel, and all your stuff ready to go.
Beautiful. And so what does launching look like for you now, my dear?
A lot less stressful. So I still always, that original spreadsheet from my first real grown-up launch, that just has evolved, and it kind of changes a little bit, each launch. So each launch I start by sitting down with that, and that is the Bible, really, like my daily schedule, column for each activity.
Yeah.
That's the Bible for the launch. And I always say to my VA, just always cross-reference to that. If it's, different in two different spots, that's the Bible.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more chilled. I still use the spreadsheet. I'm a lot more organized because everything gets done in advance. And, I just finished a launch, and I think I did a Facebook Live about it, that, I pretty much had the whole day off the day before my cart closed, which in the past would have been a day where I'd be frantically, doing a million things and throwing everything at it. Yeah, exactly. And trying to reply to every single comment and, all that sort of thing, and maximize my engagement in the 500 Facebook groups I was in. And remind everybody at every opportunity that the cart's closing tomorrow. So yeah, it's much more chilled. And I think also, like, a really big thing I'm noticing is it's really not so much about the launch itself anymore. It's about being really good at what you do in between the launches. And then the launch is just like the time where a bigger sum of money comes in. And it's just become a much more homogenous kind of journey. It's not this mad period and then nothing. It's actually that time between the launches.
Now. Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Okay, cool. And so now, can you think back to a time, it can be recently, or it doesn't matter when it was, but a time in your business or a launch where you felt ease? And what does that look like for you? Like, what do you think was behind that ease?
Yeah, I think the easiest launch by far has been this most recent one.
Yeah.
And the biggest difference is just my mindset shift, to be honest. Being organized, absolutely, it makes a world of difference being organized. And, I'm a little bit of I think uni taught me to be really good at cramming. And I still have a bit of that, like last minute, I'm motivated, baby, I'm there. But, when I've still got 2 weeks to go, it's like, yeah. So being organized helps a lot, but just my mindset in not feeling so heavily invested, like, the world is going to end if this launch isn't the biggest thing I've ever done. And just like letting go of the outcome and just allowing it to flow actually allows it to flow a whole lot more. So this last launch was really cool because I was like, I'm only working half days, Tuesdays and Fridays. I don't do anything that requires me to have to brush my hair or get out of my hoodie. Sundays, I'm locked out of social media. Literally, I've locked myself out of everything. And this last launch, I actually slowed down even more, and things felt easier during launch than out of launch. And I really noticed it. And I was like, I think I'm getting the hang of this now.
Yes, that is awesome. That is awesome. See, launching can be easy, ladies.
It was honestly like, that was a really big thing where I was like, I'm in launch. I know exactly what I'm meant to do each day, because when I'm not in launch, it's like, oh, I've got to overhaul that email sequence. Oh, I've got to, like there's all these things. But when I'm in launch, it's like, my job is to focus on the launch. And because it's organized, it's like, get a little breather because I'm launching. Yeah. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. And this is, I almost think like when you're in launch, it's like, this is my only goal. So everything, like I have a habit of before launch, I like clear my to-do list. And so it's like I actually get to experience the spaciousness in between the things, because I don't have the giant to-do list that's just like filling in the gaps.
Yeah. Oh, can I share one more really important thing that I actually just realized, oh, that made quite a difference. Because I'm thinking, why this time? Why did this time feel so chilled? And it was because after my previous launch, I had this realization that I'm in a habit of, I launch and then I go, oh, okay, now I need a break, and I'll give myself time to kind of catch up and recover.
Yep.
And this time I went, well, how about I give myself a break before the launch and actually show up with my cup full and feeling really chilled out, that I'm just back fresh from holidays feeling.
Yes.
I thought, wouldn't it be good to bring that into my launch rather than to be running on empty, be depleted, and try and out of that pull enough energy to kind of translate to people being able to connect with it. So I was like, no, from now on, I take the week before launch off.
Yeah.
And, so it's like, organize your launch, take a week off, then you're launching.
That is a great idea for a launch plan. Have that baby scheduled in.
It is for the whole rest of the year.
Yeah, cool. And can you think of a time where you experienced a challenge either in your business or in a launch? Like, just give us a little picture of what it looked like, and what do you think it was that got you through?
Okay, I'm thinking, when was the time I launched that was really stressful? And there are two. One was when Facebook shut down my ads account in the middle of the launch, just when I'd gotten really good at Facebook ads, and it'll bring in 600 to 800 people each launch, like new people into my challenge. And I'm still having to work through the legacy of that. And that was really rough. It was very demoralizing. It's like talking to a brick wall, trying to talk to Facebook. And I've just had to create this amazing workaround, and I'm basically rebuilding from scratch. So that was really stressful, because I'm like, I'm screwed now, because I'm not going back to being in 50 Facebook groups. Those days are over. And then a time, which was a few years back, I remember I was really tired. So we booked to go away for a few days just down the coast, but I was launching, and I'm like, but I just need to get away, but I'm launching, I still need to get away. So went away in the middle of a launch. So I'm trying to do Facebook Lives, and avoid wind noise and all this sort of thing. And it was just awkward. And Martin was getting shitty with me because I was constantly working, because I wasn't organized, and I just hadn't planned things very well. Why would you be away during a launch if you can avoid it? And also in the middle of that, my VA at the time sent my emails out on all the wrong days. So suddenly, I think it was just before my webinar, people were getting the post-webinar sales emails. And I'm like, I felt humiliated and embarrassed. Most people probably just, what is this bullshit? Delete. But I was so embarrassed. And then I'm like, how do you recover from this? Like, what email do you send next? And so I just ended up doing a video, and I went, okay, this is what's just happened. Here are the lessons I'm going to share. So I encourage you to just delete any emails you've got from me in your inbox, and
we'll start again.
And, and I have this sticker on the wall opposite me that says, turn it into something good. And it's just a reminder that no matter what shitty stuff happens, there's always something in there. There's a learning, there's a lesson, and there's something to share. And I just find business gets easier when you're just honest.
Totally.
And don't try to be perfect.
Like, though, already I can see that if you had a launch challenge that comes up in the future and I was your coach or your friend or whatever, I'd be like, go back to those experiences and the resources that you like built just through getting through those resources, like
yes,
having to deal with your Facebook ads being totally switched off and then rebuilding from scratch. Like, whoa, resourceful woman, hello.
Yes, absolutely. And that, I have to say, like the Facebook ads thing, that was so frustrating. But when all those emails went out on the wrong day, I'm like, I was so embarrassed. And also, I'm really mindful each launch not to bombard people with too many emails. And on some launches I've gone, oh, I feel like that was too many. And, you try to find the right balance, because there will always be somebody who turns around and goes, what do you mean the cart's closed? I didn't even know.
Literally. So we need 56 billion reminders.
Exactly. So
yeah. Oh, that's so good.
classic.
Cool.
So yes, resources galore, and the memories.
And so what do you think have been your biggest supports along the way, like both in your business and in your launch? It can be anything. It can be people, like coaches.
Yeah.
It can be practical support, like support you in yourself. What do you think's been key for you?
Yeah, good question. So in terms of systems, Asana, love Asana, or whatever version thereof you might be using. And I have, a launch project for each launch. And, I create the Bible, which is the schedule, but then I also go through the board and just tidy it all up, because each launch is a little bit different. And so that really helps me, just having those systems that help you know what to do and when to do it. So that's number one. Number two, having a great team, but not expecting them to read your mind or to be able to cover for you when you've not done your bit. So, getting organized well in advance, really good communication, and being really clear, like, these are your jobs and these are my jobs and you're responsible for your jobs. And if you screw up, we're going to have to talk about that, but I'm not going to micromanage, meddle, and, keep getting in your way, because
that's not
just
fun.
Quietly, that's something I've had to retrain myself and constantly still work on. Like, has that been done? Has it been done? Are you going to do that? Do you remember that needs to be done? Because it's really important, So I do my best not to do that. So that's really, really helped to just go, okay, are we both clear, or however many people, are we all clear? Everybody know their deadlines, and speak up if there's an issue, and having that really good team and communication, that really helps. And then just trusting it. Actually letting go of it, trusting it. So systems, the team with the good communication. And then for yourself, just reminding yourself that, if it all goes to shit, it's not the end of the world. No one's going to die. And just taking that attitude of like, it's not, if it all turns to crap, that's okay. I'll learn from it. I'll improve, and I'll do better next time. And, each launch, there tends to be something where it's like a moment.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of pieces having to work together at the same time, right?
Totally. And I love that advice for any kind of problem that you're stuck in. As soon as you zoom out and see it in the perspective it is in your life, in your business, as like a tiny little blip on your journey, it doesn't feel so big, right?
No. And when you think back to, 3 years ago, what was the biggest stress I had in a single day, you can't even remember.
Yeah, like even when was the first time you launched? You're like, I don't know.
Define launch.
I know. I'm terrible at just remembering like time frames in my business.
Mm-hmm.
When Tash Corbin rattles off like the years that she did things, how many, I'm like, how do you keep track of that?
Like, I thought I started in 2007 earlier.
So good. So good. Okay, so off the top of your head, is there anyone in particular that you would like me to interview, or what would you ask them about their launches or behind the scenes? It's okay if you can't think of anyone now.
Oh, no, I can. And it's, it's very much because I just spoke to her this morning and we were just talking about it. But Melinda Kiddo, I'm dobbing her in. You haven't spoken to her yet, have you?
No, I have not. And because she's on my list, and I think we just had a scheduling issue.
Number one, she is a genius. I will say this over and over again at what she does. She's absolutely brilliant. And number two, she has really worked hard at, getting her launches right, getting all the pieces of the puzzle working. And she's just in the middle of doing a major overhaul of her program and really stepping it up and making sure you know, that each piece of the puzzle along the way really speaks to the journey and takes people on that journey. So I love talking to Mel and hearing about what she's up to in her business, because she has a really awesome professional attitude. So yes.
Yeah. Great idea. I need to
I'll definitely tune in for that one.
Yeah. I'll message her straight after this. She's going back on that list. I'm not sure what happened to that. And is there any other questions that you would like to ask her that we haven't covered here?
Mel specifically, or just people in general?
Mel specifically, people in general.
Oh, Mel specifically, I think, you know, because I know she and I have both dabbled with a couple of little pieces of the puzzle along the way. Which ones she would not waste her time on if she had a second chance, and which ones she wished she played, included earlier? That would be a really cool question.
Like in terms of strategy?
Yeah, in terms of little strategy things, like we both use, deadline funnel and stuff like that. And, there's a few little kind of things where you go, do I, don't I? Does it really make a difference?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Do I close cart? Do I keep cart open? Which is, for me, I've just gone really simple now. I'm like, the doors are always open. When I launch, and there's a reason to join, that yes. Joining at that time makes it more juicy, but the doors are always open, because building evergreen stuff in the background is another thing that really helps take the pressure off the launch. Yeah. Even if the evergreen stuff is just building your list, so you have a really great launch, might I say.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you so much for all of your beautiful wisdom, but we're not finished yet. I would love to hear any free or paid promos that you have at the moment, so that people can go and check out the beautiful work of Miriam.
The beautiful work of Miriam. Come join the wonderful world of Miriam. The best freebie by far is my free masterclass. So just miriamcastilla.com/free masterclass. Come and jump on that. And just a little heads up, if you're watching this, within the next few days, then jump on, watch the one that's on there, because I'm about to update it to a new one. So you'll get 2 for the price of 1, which is free. The price that is free. And those masterclasses are really, I'm not going to bother explaining what each one is, but they're really about giving you the full picture. If you know what I talked about at the start, like how to really sort out the money stuff as a whole on all fronts, because some people are really good at sitting down and smashing themselves with a budget, but they don't feel very abundant. And some people are really good at tiptoeing through the tulips feeling abundant, but their money stuff's a total mess, right? And I want both for you.
Tiptoeing through the tulips.
Tiptoe through the tulips.
It's so good. It's so good. Thank you so much. And I've just added the links to both of those. So it's
free masterclass.
And now give us your paid offer.
Yeah, if you want to come work with me, check out Magnetic Money. So miriamcastilla.com/magnetic. That'll take you there.
Put that in the comments. And I know a lot of your students from that program, and they all rave about it and you.
They're an awesome bunch. I love them. Love them. I love to love all over them.
Thanks again so much for joining me, Miriam. It's been my absolute pleasure. And if you have any questions for myself or Miriam, please feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll both come back and answer them. See you later.
See ya. Thanks, Anthea. That was so fun.